All right. So I didn't do one this week, but I tried to segue from Bloomfield to West Orange for Retro Rewind and talking about the 80s. And then I get a lot of people from Bloomfield like, you're leaving stuff out, or you forgot to talk about this one or that one. Um, I just can't seem to get out of Bloomfield. As bad as I want to talk about Watchung Avenue and God, like just Rascals Comedy Club and all these other things, Andrew Dice Clay, Club Soda Kenny, and West Orange, all the things. Circling back to Bloomfield because I got a call from Enrique Mussolino. And if you don't remember Enrique, he went to North Junior in the 80s. He was going out with Felicia DeVizio for a long time. He was one of my crew, still is, my oldest friend. We were talking about not having cell phones and the way we communicated. And there was a few ways to do it, especially when there was like 5 or 6 of us. And I had said one of the things that I knew to do was to you were either home, you were at Jimmy Rogers' house, or you were at the parks or the courts in North Junior. Absolutely correct. Your safest bet to find people was hang out in front of 7-Eleven on Broad and Bay Street in Bloomfield because everybody stopped there. Everybody. And when I first got there was a bowling alley next door, then it was a bank, and now it's something else. And then Smilin' Sam, the donut man, owned Dunkin' Donuts. And if you hung out in front of 7-Eleven, you would have every genre of people. You know, the hit heads would come in, and the burnouts would come in, and the Broughton Avenue kids would come in. And, like, literally, like, you could just latch on to whoever's hanging out at that time, you know. I also want to talk about remembering, and I'm going to do probably a lot of these, but right now, I'm going to say Kenny Zack. Kenny Zack, for some weird reason, kept calling me Julio. I was Julio. Julio! And I was there when he broke the world's record at Stargate, at the Electric Circuit. I remember when I first met him, he was going out with Teresa Blunt. And they had just broken up, and their song was Every Breath You Take by the Police. And every time that came on somewhere, he was so heartbroken over this girl. And Teresa Blunt was awesome. Her brother Johnny Blunt. And then she had an older sister who I didn't get to meet. I saw her, like, met her once, but I didn't really know her. Cute. But Teresa worked at McDonald's on Broad Street next to Obals. And talking about Obals real quick, it's for sale for $1.5 million. It's a timepiece, you know, and a lot of people are like, whoever buys it better treat it right or keep it original or all these other things. I agree. And then talking about the big tree in front of Bloomfield High School. You know, Mary Teresa had posted up on her Facebook that they're taking the tree down. And I'm like, landmark stuff. You know what I mean? I'm surprised Bloomfield are still Bengals, you know, after all these things that change, you know. Is Burnout Corner still Burnout Corner? You know, I remember the door in the middle that used to open. All the Broughton Ave kids used to hang out there by that payphone, you know. And then there was the candy store on the next block, which I think now is a pizzeria or a Mexican place. But there were so many cool places. And the one thing that I noticed and I talked about the other day, that when I was 15, 16, 17, hanging out in Bloomfield, there seemed to be more kids our age than any other time that I could ever remember being anywhere, you know. And Montclair just was not for me. I wish it was. Like, those Anderson Park kids were fucking jerk-offs, you know. Bloomfield Avenue was eclectic, you know. Oh, the other thing I was thinking about the other day, too, Blimpies. We used to get Blimpies. How much lettuce can they put on a Blimpie sandwich? Ridiculous. And that sneaker store that used to be across from IHOP is gone. It's like a recruiting center or something for the military. That place had been there forever. I bought sneakers there. I worked there for a couple months. Just, wow. Like, Bloomfield Center has changed more I think, in the past 20 years than it did in the first 20 years. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you had the opportunity to grow up in Bloomfield, New Jersey, or Essex County in the 80s, like, there was no better time for me personally. I mean, yeah, I mean, drugs came in and ruined it for a lot of us. It was the 80s. And it's so funny because people talk about, oh, how great the 80s were. Like, the crack epidemic and all these crazy things that had happened during the 80s. You know, Ronald Reagan was president. You know, the what was it, the 12-hour war in Grenada. You know, being able to vote for the first time. You know. But yeah, we lost Kenny Zack, by the way, quite a few years ago. And I remember his dad was a Bloomfield cop, and we used to have his birthday parties in his garage. And, you know, he lost his battle with his demons. And I thought Kenny Zack was great. You know, somebody I could actually call brother. And I still hear Julio in the back. So that was a real quick Bloomfield rewind moment. I can't seem to get all out of Bloomfield, but I promise I'm working on it. Thank you guys for watching these. Thanks, guys, for reaching back to me. Meant a lot to me. You know, we didn't have YouTube. We got these memories.